Malcolm, this quite important, you might say highly significant phone call between our Prime Minister and President Trump. What would you prioritise? What would you maximise? And what would you try to steer away from?
Vanessa, well, look, it seems to me, Vanessa, that there's good news breaking out everywhere. I think that Keir Starmer is a smart cookie, and I think he will improve relations with Europe greatly, and it's already looking as though he's got Donald on side, and who can blame Donald? I mean, at the end of the day, Starmer is calm, he's relaxed, he's sane, and I'm sure that Trump likes that about him. But more importantly, Trump's people can see sense in Starmer, and I think that we might, Vanessa, one day get back to being the bridge between America and Europe. Who knows?
And how would you, if you think that's the case? I mean, do you think we have enough of a relationship with Europe to be a bridge?
Well, look, the last few weeks, Vanessa, I don't know whether you've been watching the news.
Yeah, I've had to, haven't I? Yes, I have.
It seems to me, Vanessa, that Europe are well, they're beyond warming up to us. I think they're pretty hot on us. So there's all sorts of soundings being made, Vanessa, and I think between Rachel and Keir, things can only get better, literally, in every sense of the word. So the only downside, I think, is that the Conservatives and Reform, they're going to get absolutely battered, and they may well, move off the scene altogether, the two of them.
Why do you think that's a downside? And what do you mean get battered where? They've just been battered, haven't they?
Well, it's a downside for them, Vanessa. For the rest of Britain, it's all up, isn't it?
Yes, but I mean, but Starmer's not going to be talking to Trump about that, Malcolm, isn't he? Just because you feel like talking to me about it. What do you think he should What do you think he should prioritise in the conversation? What do you think he should, if he were to, in some way, enhance your life? And I don't know how your life is. I don't know how your finances are. I don't know how your business is or what your work is. I don't know what you see the future as. I don't know if you want to go to America for a holiday. I don't know whether you're an exporter, an importer. I've got no idea about your life at all. But if he were to do something that would improve your lot, your life, what would be the thing that you would be concerned about? We've already had the NHS mentioned. We certainly don't want him to put up the price of drugs to our NHS, do we?
Well, for the next 4.5 years, I'm a retired school teacher.
Okay.
But I do some, odds and ends, so to speak. But my wife, a retired head teacher, my daughter, an up-and-coming clinical psychologist, Vanessa.
Oh, wow.
And we need labour for my wife and my daughter, but not only for those two, but for the whole of the country. But look, the Donny, Vanessa, Donny is a smart cookie. I think he's smarter than lots of people give him credit for. And he'll be up on Keir. He'll know where Keir is coming from. And he will know about Elon Musk and Keir. He'll know about Nigel and Elon. And I think the Donny, at the end of the day, he'll look at Elon, he'll look at Nigel, and he'll say, I'm with Starmer, I think.
To be honest with you, I'm not very impressed with Keir Starmer, firstly. Right. And, whether he's the right man to represent, I think that personally he'll trying to get public sentiment on his side and trying to get support. I believe that he'll try and, sorry to excuse it, suck up to Trump. And Trump, the reason he said what he said, he wants really to get access to the NHS and, certain parts of the UK. I don't see him looking at his modus operandi being nice to Starmer.
He's saying all sorts of nice things. He's a very nice man. I like him tremendously. We're not on the same philosophical page, but I do like him. We have a special relationship. I mean, he's saying all the right things. He's making all the right kind of overtures. Starmer's being a bit stum about Trump. Trump's really coming out with it about Starmer, and it's all good so far. So what does he want to create? What's the climate that Donald Trump wants to create? What's he trying to do prior to this conversation?
Well, I think maybe he's just buttering him up. Maybe he wants the UK as the 53rd state, to be their representatives in Europe, so they have a strong foothold.
Well, you could say we already are. Some people might think we already are, mightn't they?
Well, I think we already are, absolutely. And we should be doing what's right for the UK, not what supports America.
All right, so here's the nub of the question. So you say we should be doing what's right for the UK. And I'm saying, well, what is it? What do you think it is? You're in Norwich. I don't know what your perspective is or what you do, but what do you think is the right thing? How would you attempt to forge ahead? Because this is a man of consummate power now, isn't he? Almost unstoppable in his own country. And therefore, the sort of heft that he brings to the role is something we haven't seen for a very long time, isn't it? Therefore, we need him, don't we? We can't wash our hands of him or shrug our shoulders and walk away from him. That's why, as you put it so elegantly, the sucking up has to happen. But what would you want him to do if he could? What's Keir fighting for?
Look, Trump is absolutely right. There's nothing wrong with him saying make America great again. We in the UK already had the Great Britain in here, so we should be thinking about the UK and saying, look, we want to forge ahead. We want to be equal partners and not just look at America and Europe. We should be looking at the Far East as well to make our markets, and do what's best for the UK.
Yeah, but that's not what he's going to say on the phone to Donald Trump, is it? He's not going to say, well, hello, we're not really looking at you much. We're looking at the Far East. That's a different conversation between you and me about where we should be making trade deals. I'm not asking you that. I'm saying Keir is about to, come on, concentrate. He's about to take a call with the president. It's a real thing. It's happening in the next couple of hours. What should he say? Obviously, he says, hello, I hope you're well. It's good to hear from you. Then what does he say? What? How's Melania? And then what?
Deal? Huh? What are we going to do? Where is our trade deal?
Where is our trade deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why aren't we actually on equal footing? Why aren't we doing? If we're we've got a special relationship. That special relationship needs to be open in all sections. Yeah.
So you think he goes in sort of metaphorically all guns blazing? Like, what are you going to do for us? We're Great Britain. Come on, we want this trade deal. Give it to us. You're saying he goes in gung ho, does he?
Absolutely.
Making demands. You think?
Not demands. He is coming in as an equal partner. And we're
not equal to the States, are we? What kind of equal partner are we? Not in might, not in power, not in arms, not in ability to apply pressure. How are we equal?
We are equal in a lot of senses. We may not be economically strength, but we need to have that foothold to have equal partnership with a larger partner.
Yeah, but how do we persuade him when he is not the one with everything to gain and we are? I mean, he's good at making deals. That's one of his things. He can see who has what to bring to the table and who doesn't, who is the lesser of the two speakers on the phone. And we know that too. I mean, I don't know about going in gung-ho and all guns blazing, but maybe you're right. Maybe that's exactly what he should do.
Trump is, desperate to build more property. He's a very greedy man. He's a very egotistical man. And I think we can read him like a book.
Yeah.
So if I was Keir Starmer, I'd say, Donald, we're thinking about opening a new runway in Heathrow. And, we need some hotels of this extra capacity. So how does this sound? Maybe a golf course. Why don't you come over and build a couple of hotels and we'll rename the terminal Donald Trump Jr. number 1 or whatever it might be. A golf course. So this way he gets to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right? He won't, it's our version of Mexico will pay for the wall. We'll get the inbound investment, right? And then he wouldn't dare put a tariff on us because he's going to hurt his business interests.
Why don't we just get him to build some ordinary housing?
Well, I was going to say to you, after 4 years, we could throw the logo in the bin and turn it into social housing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, why don't we just do that in the first place?
Yeah, exactly that.
Because there never seems to be the will. There never seems to be. We're doing that in the second hour of the show. We're going to be talking about, removing restrictions to building housing. But I mean, I think the idea, that kind of flattery, which somehow benefits us at the same time. You're a wily person, no question. You're full of wily and kind of, arcane arts of persuasion. Is this what you do for a living?
Well, I do work in sales, yes, and I do sales sponsorship and things. But the thing about it is, Donald Trump is a very easy man to read. I mean, I can't believe how Putin and Xi look at it and think, oh, my God. I mean, he went on a meltdown a few months ago when someone told him Mar-a-Lago wasn't worth $1.5 billion and it was only worth, 100 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is the man that's got the codes for the nuclear, the nuclear weapons and what have you. And if he's that manipulable, because all you've got to tell him is his house isn't worth as much as it says it is, then it's a pretty easy thing to negotiate with. He goes, if I make you money, I put your name above it, that's the number one thing in his head. He doesn't care about anything else. If he can expand his empire with his brand on the top, your quid's in. And I would start from that.
Well, I think that is a damn good call.
Hey, Donald, it's Keir here. I'm in London, it's peeing it down.
It certainly is. It's very true.
I would ask him what he actually wants. I'd say, look, I know I'm on the back foot here. You don't need the UK for any reason whatsoever. So what is it in your brain that makes you think that you need us and that we could be of some use to you? And therefore, then, because Keir Starmer then actually knows where he's coming from. He's not going to get led down a country with, I want to build a golf course somewhere, and that's all I want. And then suddenly he's calling it Greenland. It's like, no, let's not do that. Let's work out what it is by asking him directly, because I think he does appreciate being asked direct questions.
So just begin, what can I do for you, you would say? How can we help me help you, that thing?
Yeah, I've always thought that honesty is the best policy. Yeah. And I too, like the previous caller I was in sales, and I honestly went in and asked people what they want. I didn't oversell to them. I didn't undersell to them. I gave them what they wanted because I asked them that from the beginning.
Did they seem amazed that you had asked them? Did you feel as if nobody ever does?
Yeah, because they all felt like they were going to get oversold to, so I could meet a target on Monday morning at 9 o'clock and go home. Yeah. It's not that. It's a case of people need to, in politics,
yes,
there needs to be more honesty, because the dilly-dancing around all the time wastes everybody's time and makes the electorate feel lied to everywhere.
And the notion that what Donald Trump wants, we might not want. So you say, what do you want? The answer is, I want, and it's not at all what we want. Then what?
Well, then it's down to Keir to show us his negotiating skills, and trained the way he is, he ought to be able to negotiate himself out of a maze.
Well, absolutely. As chief prosecutor, that's meant to be his forte, isn't it?
Exactly. So, once he knows what it is that Donald Trump expects of him and what he expects of the UK as a country, then Keir can say whether he can facilitate that or not. It's that simple. And if he can't facilitate it in any way, shape or form, and I'm pretty sure Donald Trump isn't going to ask him for anything ridiculous, then, well, he might.
You never know. You really don't know. Yes.
Yeah, he might. But if Keir Starmer can't outfox, and I'm not a Keir Starmer fan, but I do think he's probably more intelligent than Donald Trump, and he ought to manage him on a phone call pretty well.
God, I wish. Don't you wish that we could be flies on the wall and hear it? I'd love to hear it, wouldn't you?
I'd love to. Yeah, but
I would pay. I would honestly pay. I would pay per listen. I would, to hear it. I'm not sure how much I'd pay, but I'd put 100 quid in to hear it. I definitely would.
Why is it that phone calls that are in the public interest aren't public?
Well, because they can't. Because it's all that behind the scenes, softly, isn't it, stuff that we're not meant to know about. Not meant to know how we get to the bit where we got to. But you have given us a very good idea. Nicola, how nice.